cafe anyway. Yay. Oh.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to episode 2561, and Mike Matthews here on a program that is called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And the last podcast was called Scenery because I was looking through a glass and then the people saw the podcast, or they listened to the podcast and they saw the picture and they went, Mike, that podcast picture is awesome. Thank you. I would love to frame that in my house. Nobody said that actually, but hey.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Do you ever get this if you're on Facebook still, which maybe that might be some of you,
Mike's
and you get a message
Daily
from someone saying,
Podcast.
oh, I'm sorry to hear someone that you know died. Click here. You ever get that? That's not a scam, is it? It's got to be a scam. And it went to some TikTok link. Yes, yours truly did click on it and it went nowhere. Facebook blocked it. But I'm like, okay, why couldn't you just tell me in the message who it was that you think I know that passed away? What is... Someone got in a car accident. Now I don't know who it is. I don't know if the message was a bot or some kind of scam. This world in which we live in, so bizarre. Hey, my little cat is gonna jump on my lap. Here we go. Moldova's president accused Russia today of planning to use foreign saboteurs to bring down her tiny country's leadership and stop it from joining the European Union, and to use it in the war against Ukraine. Did you hear about that? Maya Sandu, the president, made her comments after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said last week that his country had uncovered a Russian intelligence plan for the destruction of Moldova. And days later, the country's government resigned. Interesting.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The podcast picture today of a beautiful sunset that happened this evening in Fremont. But we're here in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth cafe anyway. Sandu, whose country's borders Ukraine, has repeatedly expressed concern about Moscow's intentions toward the former Soviet Republic and about the presence of Russian troops in the breakaway Transnistria region. And you probably heard the U.S. government has said to all U.S. citizens living in Russia, leave now. It is the late great Basil the Boxer. And I think he would love chasing this cat that's on my lap right now. Got Rocky on my lap, the late great Basil the Boxer in my ears. What more could you want? Today is a bit of an emotional day because it was a year ago that I had a probably one of the worst days of my life, where when my mom, she hadn't passed away yet, but she was in the hospital and the doctors and nurses were doing everything they could, and her health was failing fast, blood pressure was dropping, and I was over here on the other side of the country. She was there in Florida, I was here in California. And it's just a horrible, helpless, disgusting feeling I hope nobody goes through, but people go through it all the time, but I hope you don't go through it. But it was bad, and just a horrible, horrible day a year ago. I remember it was Super Bowl Sunday was on the 13th of February last year. Mom did pass away, though, the next day on Valentine's Day. And what I found interesting was, I always find the irony in things. I always find the bizarre little coincidences and whatnot. And I go, unfortunate coincidences. And I was thinking, well, if Mom passes away today, which was during Super Bowl last year, she always hated the Super Bowl. So I guess that's in a weird way fitting, but not fitting. But she ended up passing away on Valentine's Day, which also was not a very happy day for her. Although she met the love of her life late in life. and for 5 years got to spend some wonderful time with him. They had a wonderful relationship. He passed away, sadly, though, about 5 years into their relationship. But he had been there for her through some very hard times. She had been there for him. And then they had some great she had some great Valentine's days during that time. But yeah, it was very strange because then, I'm feverishly, frantically trying to get a plane ticket home to see my mom. And I didn't know anybody in Florida. I had met her neighbors across the street once and kept their phone number and reached out to them, and they were super kind. They were wonderful people. And I was able to stay at my mom's house and take care of all the everything. You can imagine everything, when a life ends, and all of everything she had. I don't even want to call it stuff, because stuff belittles it. Some of it was priceless to me, and I was able to ship it home and keep it. All the important stuff. Hate that word. All the important things. All the important effects. And everything that made up her life some of it had to go to the thrift store. But like the paintings that she painted, I definitely sent home, and I have here now at Podcastro Valley, at Cafe Anyway, adorning all the walls at Cafe Anyway, and the people love it and see the creative things. And interestingly enough, a lot of the paintings she would do on Super Bowl Sunday, because she owned a video store for over a decade in the 80s and 90s, and she had nobody came in on Super Bowl Sunday. So she'd still be there in case somebody did come in to rent a movie. They would show up after the game. But she would usually pick that day to do her paintings, and her paintings were fun and abstract and interesting. As we go outside a Cafe Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth.
Anyway.
So, and my mom hated cats. So she would find it funny, I guess, or she would be disgusted that I have a cat on my lap. I gotta say, though, except for those nice neighbors across the street, the rest of that neighborhood that my mom lived in was kind of odd, kind of bizarre. Not a very big street, very short. But the people on there, well, everybody wanted her house, first off. They were all like, oh, sell the house to me. Sell the house to... It was interesting. Meanwhile, I'm like, that's the last thing on my mind right now, trying to go through all her stuff. And I wasn't there that long to be able to go through everything. Barely a week. Meanwhile, my girlfriend, my lovely lady friend, is with me, and she has poison oak at the time. So she's fighting that. And we reminisce about it, about the craziness of this week that happened a year ago. Everything that happened. And, she's taken, what's the stuff? Oh, there was some kind of prescription she had to get from Kaiser to help fight the itching, the itchiness. Anyway, Cafe Anyway. Here's one of the weird things, and I'll move on to something else outside of Cafe Anyway. There was a neighbor who told me, and he reached out to me through my YouTube channel of all things. But he said, he wrote to me all in caps. And when you write all in capitals, believe me or not, or don't believe me or not, believe it or not, everyone will tell you if you write all in capitals, everyone's going to think that you're yelling at them in all caps. So, in all capital letters. And he writes me this thing saying, hey, call me and I'll tell you what were the last words that I got from your mom before she was taken to the hospital. My mom fell down, had an accident in the house, and she hurt her hip. fractured the hip and had to go to the hospital. And from there, the health declined, and she was in her 80s, and a lot of issues all converged at once. I think I talked about her smoking before and how that had done bad things to her arteries. And well, so this person's writing it all in caps and just odd, reaching out to me through my YouTube channel. And I eventually did email him back through a normal email. And I found out what the last words were that she had said to him. And just basically that what he said made sense to me, that she just basically was like, oh, you know, she would get so frustrated when something like this would happen. She had a couple of, she always loved to be mobile. We all love to be mobile, but she particularly loved to get out there. In fact, she was at the beach just a few days earlier before all this happened. And, you know, she just loved to be out and about. And to be sidelined because of a stupid hip being hurt, she was mad. But apparently she was talking to him, so she was still in somewhat good enough health to be able to talk. But then things got worse when she got to the hospital and other stuff. It all escalated. And it was around this day a year ago that all that happened. So not the happiest of days for me today, thinking about it. But a couple of things to take away from it all, and that is, don't smoke. Let your son know, or your kids know, when you're in the hospital. She never reached out to me when that happened. And she would always, at some point, reach out to me if anything happened to her at the hospital. Her only son is on the other side of the country, so it makes it difficult. And realize, if you're a parent, or if you're a child of a parent, if you either one of you decides to move far, far away, it's going to make things like this very, very, very difficult. Because you can't just walk across the street and help someone. Now they're on the other side. Now, some parents can be really independent, not want any help from their kids, and then other parents want too much help from their kids. But yes, there's some in there somewhere are boundaries, and also in there somewhere is too much distance. So at any rate, she lived life the way she wanted to. And she could have probably kept going for quite a while longer if it wasn't for that stupid hip. And I agree with her wholeheartedly with what she said to her neighbor across the street about the dang hip. So stay good to your body. Be good to your body. And be good to yourself. I was thinking, when I get to be her age someday, when I get there, hopefully someday, I'm just going to wear one of those, have you seen those sumo wrestler outfits where it's all inflatable? So like if you fall over, like nothing happens, you're just ensconced in this pocket of air. I think I want to do that because it seems like, you know, when you're old and you fall over, bad things escalate and things start to happen in a negative way. George Burns made it to 100 years old, but barely, because he had fallen in the bathtub like a couple months before. And until then, he was doing super good for his age. A real inspiration, and a stupid fall took it all away. Did you know that during the Super Bowl this year, Twitter suffered an outage during Rihanna's Super Bowl halftime show? Despite Elon Musk's directive to maximize stability, Twitter suffered an outage, and it has been the second outage in a week. So apparently Elon Musk was sitting with Rupert Murdoch, from what I heard, and Dogecoin, Dog-E-Coin, whatever you call that cryptocurrency, immediately jumped 5% after Elon Musk joked that he and Rupert Murdoch were discussing Dogecoin at the Super Bowl. And the other interesting thing, this morning, if you were listening to a local radio station in the Bay Area called KDOW, Rob Black hosts a show there. I produce his podcast that gets then, of course, exposed to the entire world. But he was talking about Disney and Marvel. And there's apparently this new Phase 5 happening with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Did you know that no Marvel movie reached $1 billion in 2022? And the multiverse has not been able to live up to the Infinity War saga and the end of the whole the Avengers and the Endgame movie. Disney's first step for what looks like 13 plus movies and TV shows. This is the first step. The Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania introduced Kang as the big bad evil guy of the multiverse saga. Next up will be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and then The Marvels and 2 TV shows, Secret Invasion and Loki. In all, it will be at least 13 TV shows and movies, and that all leads to the Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, which comes out in 2025. So this lasts from now to 2025, and that would be May 2nd, precisely. And then there's going to be an Avengers movie that comes out a year later, May 1st of 2026, called Avengers Secret Wars. Some have expressed that audiences are losing interest in the MCU post-Endgame movie. Disney crammed 17 TV shows and movies into the past 2 years, including WandaVision, The Falcon and Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Loki, and the Eternals, Hawkeye, Spider-Man No Way Home, Moon Knight, don't forget Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Ms. Marvel, Thor, and She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Wow. There you go. Oh, there was a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. How did I miss that? Well, anyway, Cafe Anyway. Outside of Cafe Anyway, look who's here. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Jolly Stewart, gift shop supervisor. I want to cheer you up with a snow globe, Mike Matthews. Oh, thank you. That's a beautiful snow globe. You're welcome, Mike Matthews. You sell snow globes in the gift shop. That's what people, they come to Cafe Anyway to buy snow globes from the gift shop. Are you okay, Mike Matthews? I've just run out of things to say about snow globes. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floor Man. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, Marvel Universe is fascinating, and there's superheroes in it. Well, maybe we're done with superheroes. Maybe there's just been too many superheroes, and we're starting to get... No, that's just me? Okay. I don't know. Cafe Anyway, are you getting tired of superheroes? Call me 510-228-4640. Leave a comment. Leave a comment below in the comment section below if you want. I don't have one of those. I was going to get political all of a sudden. Maybe that will get you to call in to 510-228-4640. If you want that number again, go to mikesdailypodcast.com. That's also where you can find the podcast picture. I read this commentary recently. It said a new employment report showed a gain of roughly 500,000 jobs in January. Yes, 500,000. And then on Twitter, which has gone down twice in a week, had this trend called Biden boom. Oh, that's because Twitter's so left-leaning. It's run by Elon Musk now. And Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking there at that hearing against Twitter about how she's so glad Elon Musk took over. And it's all right-wing now. Well, this writer here of this article said, yes, That's a lot of jobs added in 1 month. I'm going to just put a bookmark right there where he said, yes, that is a lot of jobs in 1 month, because that's a fact. It is true. You would agree. I would agree. But this person goes on to say, 1 month does not make a boom. For most of the past year, job growth has been weak, the economy faltering, real wages fell, people's savings fell along with them. Credit card debt mounted up. Okay, you can't blame Biden about credit card debt mounting up. That has been a problem for a long time. And some people might be able to find ways to get around credit card debt. Some people that used to be president of the United States would have a little ways to get. They have. Maybe they wrote a book about it. I don't know, but they have healthy. I don't know if he has healthy spending habits. I don't know if Biden has healthy spending habits. I don't think anybody in Washington has healthy spending habits, but there's a whole thing about watching out for credit card debt. And that is probably the worst thing you can do, is let the amount that you've charged on your credit card go from month to month and not pay off it. Credit card companies want you to use their credit cards. They offer points. That's the only good thing about credit cards, but you got to pay it off. Pay it off right away. Get those points, and you can use that to get all kinds of stuff like Amazon gift cards. That's the only thing I can think of, but there's other things. Starbucks gift cards. At any rate, credit card debt has mounted up. That is another fact. I will agree with this writer. This person also goes on to say people who are out of work and were out of the workforce saw their savings and credit depleted. Read headlines about layoffs. Oh, they read headlines about layoffs and they got worried enough to go back to work. Okay, I don't know if that's true. That people who are out of the workforce. Well, yeah, a lot of people left the workforce because there was that mass resignation a year ago. I think they were going to other jobs, if I'm wrong. But yes, if you do quit your job, you are then relying on your savings. And if you rely on credit cards and you're paying that crazy interest, that's bad. Now the interest rates have gone up, so there's more interest. Anyway, this person wraps it up by their little commentary by saying, usually new jobs are a sign of a growing economy, but the growth data points to a stagnant economy right now. It's good that people are going back to work, but there's a difference between job growth from an actual boom and hard times driving people back to work. There is no boom, says this person. Now, you know what? This person is just sour grapes, and nothing can come out of their mouth that does not in some way take a smack, either a backhanded compliment or a full frontal hand to the nose. Ouch, that would hurt. With anything that he or she says about Biden is always going to be negative, and it's always going to come back around to be negative because that's the base that this person appeals to, is anybody who hates Biden. So there is a fact, though. Let's go back to the first thing that this person said. The new employment report showed a gain of roughly 500,000 jobs in January. That is a lot of jobs added in 1 month, says this person. Now, maybe 1 month does not make a boom, but that looks like a boom to most people. And if you're going to attribute anything, everybody talks negative about the president. The same person would have exactly agreed with that statement, because with the last president, people took their shots at Donald Trump. Donald Trump got impeached twice. He would probably agree. So the point is, there were 500,000 jobs added in January, and that's a lot. And that's if people went back to work because they made stupid decisions a year ago with the mass resignation. That's a bizarre. No, people went back to work because they quit a year ago and they had credit card debt. Well, if you're going to quit your job, have a plan B. And yeah, let's give credit where credit's due is all I'm saying. Okay, I guess that's it for the podcast. Thanks for listening to that last little rant at the end. I couldn't believe that. I saw that. I'm like, when is there any time that anybody can make say anything, any kind of commentary, and not go on and on about how much the president stinks? Why couldn't that person have just have said, hey, a lot of jobs were added, but you know what? Maybe there were because of the credit card debt, and then this person could have gone on about how you shouldn't rack your credit card amounts up and watch what you're spending them on. Instead, they got to go after Biden. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Biden. I don't want to do the Biden squint when I get to his age. I probably will have to do the Biden squint. I don't know what if he's had LASIK eye surgery or something. I know there's been some work done on that guy. There's been maybe a little bit of this has been pulled back and I don't know if that hair on top of his head is any more real than what Trump's got on his head, but still, give credit where credit's due. Okay. I hate politics. I know you do too. So let's wrap up the podcast and say, next podcast, it's going to be Benita, the disgruntled fiddle player, and the brewmaster. Oh, disgruntled fiddle player. He's going to give me heck for this one.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.